Hello and welcome. My name is Lexi and today we're going to be taking a look at a whole bunch of new makeup. We have the new Gucci Liquid Illuminator, the new shade in the Sisley Blur Expert Powder. It's not a new product, but they added a new shade, Shade Zero. We have the new Guerlain Terracotta Flower Blossom Bronzer. Now, I do want to mention that this did previously have a gold overspray on parts of that. We'll look at that when we do a close-up of that before it was touched. We have some items from Flavedo and Albedo. We also have the new shades of the Givenchy Rose Perfecto Lip Balm and new Chanel nail polishes. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with the Sisley Blur Expert. So this product came out a long time ago, but that shade has always been a little bit too deep for me. It was kind of, too deep for me, but yet still not dark enough for deeper complexions. It was like perfect for medium skin tones. And this is an interesting product because it's a blurring powder. You can definitely use this, as a finishing powder and so forth, but I do think it looks a little cakey or dry that way. This is actually recommended to use underneath foundation. So you use this as a base. And I just want to show you, you do have a little bit of a sheen on that powder. And again, this is shade Zero. You can see that that's going to be a really great match for my skin tone. There's the slightest, maybe the slightest peachy tint to it, but so it's not straight white or anything like that. There's a little bit of peach, but it's pretty much an ivory shade. And I have a couple demos. Let's take a look at those while we are talking about this product. So I have been trying this out for a few days, and I had previously tried the original version, found it was too dark, so I gave it to a friend of mine who has a deeper skin tone. And I have to say that I think this product is really great, but it's a little finicky, a little tricky to use. So in the first demo, I'm trying to show you what it looks like on one side of the face versus, nothing on the other side. So you can really kind of see the difference and the blurring capability. So let me know what you think of that. This product itself has 11 grams of product. It has a 3-year shelf life, which, powders can last a long time, but even so, we still often see products marketed as 6 months or 1 year, even for powder products that have the potential to last a bit longer. So it's nice to see something a little bit longer here. It is made in Italy. It does not come with any sort of puff or brush or anything like that, which is just fine to me. We do have a magnetic closure on here, and we have a fingerprint magnet packaging here. So it's going to be kind of just a silver finish on this compact, and it is plastic. Now, as I mentioned, I've been playing with this for a few days now, and I think the best way is to definitely apply this underneath foundation, or if you are not wearing makeup, you can just pat this on in a very soft, light layer. You can put this on top of your skincare to get a little bit of a blurring effect on there. And you definitely want to make sure that, you go in with the philosophy, less is more. If you use too much of this powder, it will look dry and cakey. So you can either apply this kind of sparingly with a buffing brush, which you can see I use the Sonia G Face One or Buffer Pro in the second demo, or you could use something light and airy. So if I were not to wear makeup on top, I would make sure that, just to make sure I'm not getting any sort of dryness to my skin, I would actually use a big fluffy brush, just a fluffy, big powder brush, and just get a very light dusting on my skin. And that works really well. I get just a little bit of blurring, gets a little bit of mattification, but you can't tell that there's any powder on my skin. However, when I go in with makeup, I do prefer to use a little bit more product because it will be covered by foundation, and to get more of that blurred effect, especially if anything moves on the skin, I think it's best to go in with slightly more. You still want to go in with the less is more philosophy, but for that, I do like a slightly denser brush. So something like the Sonia G Master Face or the Buffer Pro, those work well. Even just a slightly less airy powder brush works well. You could also pat this on with a little puff as well. You just want to make sure, not too much or it will look a little bit dry, and depending on what kind of foundation you use, you know, that could be accentuating certain things more than, you know, than it would otherwise. So I have also worn this powder on top of foundation and so forth. It works. You can definitely use this, pat it on under the eyes. I personally actually think it does a nice job patting a little bit of this powder on with a fingertip under the eye and then applying your concealer to just get a little bit more blurring. But when you put it on top, again, you do run the risk of it looking a little dry after time goes on. So initially it looks great, but I did find that if I use this as a finishing powder, after a couple of hours, it just kind of looks like powder has settled into my foundation, and I don't like that look. It just doesn't look great. However, if you're using this underneath products as is the original intention, I think it is a really nice product. I'm very happy they came out with the lighter shade. So this is something that I'm going to continue to be using as one of my, you know, base steps every day. So I'm going to put on my primer, which also gives a little bit of blurring effect. For the most part, I like to use the Surratt Perfectioniste primer usually. And then I'm going to apply this and then my, you know, foundation of the day. So this is definitely making it into my regular routine. All right, so just a close-up of the powder on my wrist. You can see it, it's right here. And you can see how that looks on the skin, and it's been sitting there for a few minutes now. So you can see how it will kind of settle. Again, you do want to go with less is more. And I just wanted to do a quick comparison. I really love this powder from Sisley. This is their pressed powder. This is shade number 1, Rosy. I like this actually for like a setting or finishing powder. So I used a fluffy brush with this because again, less is more with this. But I wanted to show you the shade comparison because I think they're pretty comparable. This one here, the pressed powder, slightly pinker, whereas the Blur Expert is a little bit peach versus pink, but it's about the same depth of color for each and very similar. Texturally, these are different products. The Blur Expert has a very, very smooth, very finely pressed texture to it. It doesn't feel powdery when you touch it. It stays pretty firm, but not the type of firmness that indicates hard pan. You know, you feel like you're getting product up. Whereas this one, also firm to the pan, you can see how much I've used. And when you actually spread this out with a finger, this one just has a slightly silkier texture to it. So similar, but just slightly different if you're really trying to feel the difference there. So I think both powders are great, but for different purposes. So again, I like this one for setting, and I like the Blur Expert underneath foundation. Let's go ahead and move on to the Guerlain Flower Blossom Bronzer. So this has 10 grams of product. We have a 1-year shelf life. It's made in France. You've got your traditional plastic Guerlain packaging. You have a mirror here, and then this is it. So in the demo, I will show this to you what it looks like untouched. And there is like gold overspray here. That was just an overspray. It went away with the first use. So actually I have a little bit of it left on the one cheek. So you can see there's a slight, a slight golden touch to that one, but not so much. Really, you're looking at kind of a blend of their medium bronzer shade with some pink and peach. So if you have the Guerlain medium shade in the bronzer, that's what the majority of this is. However, they also have like those like Healthy Glow bronzers that have like the little mix of colors. And then this would, with these particular tones, is pretty similar to that. So I don't have shade medium, but I will compare this to the lighter shade that I do have. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at the demos, and we'll talk a little bit about this. So this bronzer, as I mentioned, it is made in France, and we have 10 grams of product. Their regular bronzers, without the beautiful flower blossom design, are the same size, same specs. So overall, I think it's gorgeous. If this is a shade that works for you, for me, the medium shade is just a little bit too deep to use as a regular full blast bronzer. I like to use this one as blush. And you can see in that swatch that it does have a peachy hue to it. So it's not really an orange bronzer, it's more of a peachy bronzer. So we'll look at a few comparisons in a minute, but it goes on very nicely. It's your traditional Guerlain Terracotta Bronzer formula, which is a nice kind of a silky yet firm powder. And you get kind of a little bit of a blurred airbrush finish with this particular product. It is a satin matte, so it's really matte with just a very little bit of light reflection in there to give you a little bit of a satin touch. So it's not a flat, dry looking matte, but it is going to be more along the lines of a matte bronzer. And you could easily, if you want this to be an illuminating bronzer, mix it with a little bit of a highlighter or something as well, which we'll actually talk about that Gucci highlighter in a minute, because this is something that will blend really well with a variety of products. So this is the only other Guerlain Terracotta bronzer that I have. This is shade 00 Clair Rosé or Light Cool. And you can see we actually do have, you know, various colors kind of color blocked here. And let me show you this, because this is our light shade. You can see the difference. You can see that there's a lot more peach in this new Flower Blossom one. And yet it's still not straight up orange. It's more of a peachy, there's pumpkin in there, but it's more peach than orange. And you can see that the light shade here actually has more like golden brown hues to it. We're just going to compare just a couple bronzers. I've been doing quite a few bronzer comparison in some recent videos, so definitely check those out, such as the new Chantecaille Summer Collection. That's a place where I have like all of my bronzers swatched. So today we're just going to take a look at a couple. This is the Hermes bronzer in shade 01 Totori. And you can see that's going to be lighter, a little bit more yellow toned. And then my favorite is still the Gucci 01 in Fair. This has a bit more of a red hue to it, and you can see it's definitely more brown. So I feel like that kind of gives you a good idea of what this color looks like. Let's just swatch a blush next to it. This is the Hermes blush in number 19, Rose Apricot. And I just wanted to show you, we're going to squeeze that in between the powders here, how similar that is to a peachy blush. So you can see, you know, there's still a little bit more orange in the Guerlain, but it can definitely be used in place of a peachy blush, in my opinion. Just one other, this is the Gucci in Tender Apricot, which is number 2. So let's just put that right there, and you can see the difference. So I think this Guerlain bronzer is a great blush or blonzer, so whatever you want to call it. So let's go ahead and move on. We're actually going to move on to the Chanel nail polishes. So Chanel has just recently redone their nail polishes. So if you are familiar with some of their Camellia nail polishes that they've had as limited edition, like the Camellia base and so forth, they introduced a new wider brush. So we've got our same cap, same size packaging and everything, but you can see here that our brush is going to be a wide brush. And I personally really like the wider brush. I think they are easier to use. And they have kept several of the same shades around, but they have also, you know, added some new shades, and some of them are pretty similar to some of the like limited edition shades that we've seen over the past couple of years. So I have a few comparisons here. So let's take a look at the shades. I've just got a couple of demos here so you can kind of see what they look like while I'm talking. But our Chanel nail polishes, we have 13 milliliters of product, and they are made in France. And the older version had that thinner brush, but also 13 milliliters and made in France. So everything about them is the same in that respect. However, the formula has been updated a little bit. They've added some more like extracts and changed the ingredients just a little bit. And I actually think it's a better formula. So for me, I know Chanel nail polishes last really well for many people. And for me, there were certain shades that lasted better than others, but in general, they still last kind of average compared to the indie brands that I typically like to use, such as Mooncat, Sarah Colors, ILMP. Those are some of my favorites. I have found though that the new Chanel nail polish lasts really well. So here I'm showing you a wear test that I did with this nail polish, and I'm wearing the shade 125 Muse. I put it on with no base and no top coat. And I left it on, I actually had it on for a week, but you can see here in this wear test that this is what it looked like after a few days, after several days. And considering, the number of dishes and cleaning and so forth that I do, I'm very rough on my nails. I constantly get chips, and I had no protective top coat or anything on here. So it held up really well. It holds up better than the previous version for me. All right, so it has been 1 full week since I applied the Chanel nail polish in 125 Muse. I have 2 layers of polish and no top coat on. And let's just take a closer look here. You can see there's tip wear. I have a few like random chips and things, particularly on my right hand, where I have been like peeling like labels off of things and stuff like that, and got one here at my thumb. But overall, for 1 week, that's really impressive because nail polish, I'm very rough on my nails. Nail polish, typically, I'm looking at 2 to 3 days before I'm like itching to change it. And I'm itching to change this now, but it's been a full week. So very impressed. I started noticing a little bit of faint tip wear around day 3 to 4, but it really wasn't something anybody else would notice. And then by day 5, I had a bit more chipping and so forth. And most of this actually just really deteriorated a bit today. So overall, I'd say it held up really well. So let me cut to this clip here so you can see all of the shades that I picked up and just see what they look like on my nails, because I did kind of try them on along with some comparisons of the older shades. All right, so we're just going to take a quick look, a very messy look, at some of the new Chanel nail polishes. So this is just to show you the shades, and let me go ahead and show you. These are 5 of the new ones. I actually picked up 7 new ones, so let's go through these. All right, so this first shade here you can see is kind of a metallic gold with a little bit of shimmer in there. That's this one here, and this is called 157 Phoenix. Pretty true to color. This is 2 coats. I have 2 coats on all of my nails except for 1, and I'll show you that. But overall, I think this is a nice color. I actually, surprisingly, didn't have a true gold in my nail polish collection, so I added that one. And then we have this deep navy blue. So with just one swipe of that, it's going to be a little bit more sheer and, not quite as impactful. You actually see a little bit more of like a smoky blue. But once you put on the second layer, you get this deeper blue shade here. Sorry. So this one here is shade 127. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Fugios. And then we move on to this pink shade. So that's this one here. This is 139 Activiste. And you can see it's a pretty deep pink. Trying not to give anybody the finger here. But again, that's going to be 2 coats. I have to say that, these shades went on very, very smoothly. Moving on, we're actually looking at my favorite shade here. Now with one sheer layer, this looks like a deep eggplant, but once you put on the second layer, it almost has kind of that blood purple look. Not quite the Rouge Noir. It's got more purple in it than that. This is 141 Au Saut de Nuit, and this is my favorite. Then this one here is 125 Muse, and that's what I have on here. And you may have seen me, I had this on in several videos. This is what I did my wear test on, and I have to say it went really well. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. And then I want to show you this other hand. So these are ones I have new, old, new, old. So for comparison's sakes. So let's start with the 2 white shades here. And on my thumb here, this is the new white. This is actually 3 coats. 2 coats looks a little streaky, but we only have 2 coats of the old shade here. Now the old shade is a limited edition white. So that was number 927 Blanc Écume. And then the new one is called 101 Insomniac. Now, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's a slight difference. The 101 Insomniac is going to have a slightly more golden tint to it. And you can see these are kind of still wet and like denting it up. But there is going to be kind of like a little bit of a pale yellow hue to it. So it's not as much of a bright white as the Blanc Écume or Écume. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be an accent there. So just a little difference there. Now the two purples are pretty different. This is a new purple and I prefer this. It's more of a blue-based purple, like a periwinkle purple, versus the other one, which again was limited edition that also came out with that white. And that's more of a pink-based lavender. So this new purple here is 135 Immortelle. And this would be my second favorite shade in this collection. And then we have 931 Moonshell, which is the older pink or purple. So, you know, these are going to be kind of your, you know, they're similar, but they're not quite exactly the same. So overall, I'd have to say that I really do like this new version of the Chanel nail polish. I think it's better than the previous version. The price has gone up for these nail polishes. So just something to note there. I do think, you know, again, I didn't pick any of the older shades that I already had, such as like Rouge Noir and so forth, but those are supposed to be exactly the same. So I didn't pick them up, but I did want to compare a couple of the limited edition shades I had. I am still on the hunt for like the perfect white nail polish. I want something bright white that doesn't get streaky. It's very easy to use. The Gucci white actually worked really well for me a while, but now that it's getting a little older, you know, it's not performing as well as it used to. So I'm looking for something that's just a little bit better. And I have to say, between the two white Chanel nail polishes, the one that was limited edition before, I actually prefer that because you could see in that demo, I had 2 coats of that on versus 3 coats of the new shade. And I prefer the brighter white tone of the limited edition shade versus that slightly yellow hue in the newer one. And I just felt like it went on a little bit better. So one thing to note about these polishes is that I feel like the formula itself feels slightly thicker. The self-leveling works really well for the majority of the colors. It goes on nicely, smoothly, strongly. But I feel like with the white one, it just still looks a little bit streaky, which is why I went to a 3rd coat. So I'm not loving the white, but I do really like the other shades here. So I think, you know, overall it was a successful reformulation. We'll see how things go with time, but so far, you know, I'm impressed with the wear and longevity that I'm getting from these polishes without using any sort of base or top coat with them. So yeah, overall, definitely a positive. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about Flavedo and Albedo. So Flavedo and Albedo, I have mentioned this brand on my channel before. It is a cruelty brand. It's based in Australia, but the products are made in Italy. We have no plastic packaging, which is really nice. And this is the first one that I received. This was actually gifted to me, and this was the shade Cool Bronze. So I really liked this. I featured this in one of my videos, and then they sent me some more items. So this one here is Cool Bronze, and what I really like about this is this texture. It's grippy. It has a different texture than any other eyeshadow that I've used before. It has a little bit of moisture to it. Not like a cream shadow per se, but yet not as dry as a regular powder. And you can actually feel grip when you're putting this on or when you're touching it. And it's a really nice product. It lasts all day. There's no fallout. You can get a very light wash using a brush, or you can pile it on and get something more impactful with a finger. So they sent me 2 more of these eyeshadows. This is the shade Berry Bronze. And I like this. This one actually is kind of more of a, it's like a burgundy rose with some copper in it. So I think that one's really pretty. And then the one that I've been wearing a lot that I get a lot of compliments on is this one here, which is Rose Quartz. And it's kind of like your rosy champagne kind of shade. So I've been adding this into a lot of looks. And this is more of a peachy rose. So it's not going to be a cool rose. You know, it's neutral, leaning slightly warm. And yeah, so these are all going to be like in like metal tin packaging here, and you can see that they are color coded. They sent me a few other items. So let's talk about those other items while we're looking at some demos of everything, and then we'll swatch them afterwards. So they sent me 3 of their eyeliners. They're called the Bright Stripe Eyeliner. And I have to say that I've actually been really loving these as lip liners. Now, don't take that necessarily as advice. I have not checked to see whether or not these are lip safe. So, you know, definitely, you know, do that at your own caution. But this has a 2-year shelf life, and they say that they're made in Europe. It's 1.14 grams. And I have 3 shades. Now this feels more like your traditional, like old-fashioned pencil, like more of a drier pencil product. So I personally, on the eyes, I love those creamier gel style pencils, but I'm loving this for the lips and the colors that they sent me in particular. There's a shade Chinodo, and then there's a lavender shade. I've been loving them for the lips. So I was actually wearing the purple eyeliner with my Dries Van Noten purple lipsticks. I've been wearing those together. So yeah, I really like them in particular for that. The gold one I have been wearing a lot on the eyes, and today I'm actually wearing one of the pencils on the eyes as well, the Chinodo shade. So I think those are really nice products. And I love how the shades are different and more unique than what we are used to seeing. In addition, they also sent me 2 of their like cream eyeliners. And the packaging on these, I'll show you these in a minute, but it's cool because to keep the cream fresh, it actually has cork in the lid that kind of presses down on the product to keep it sealed. And it's gonna be like a glass jar with a tin lid. These are made in Italy. We have 2.8 milliliters of product and a 1-year shelf life. So I received 2 of these, and the shade Pearl is my favorite. That's gonna be kind of like your whiter light shade. And these are just a really nice, subtle cream highlight product. So let's go ahead and take a look at some swatches. All right, so let's start off with the eyeliners. So we've got a traditional pencil style liner, and this is going to be your gold shade. And I think it's a nice gold. You can see that these are going to be, you know, a little bit more lightly pigmented. There, I can build that up a bit more. And this is really more of a soft bronze than a true yellow gold, in my opinion. So that's the shade gold. Then we have the lavender shade. And as I mentioned, I've been wearing this as a lip liner. And I have used this on the eyes as well. But I do really like this with those purple lipsticks, or even just to outline the lips and fill in with a pink, like a soft pink lip color. I think it's really pretty. And then today I'm wearing Chinodo, which is more of a soft, it's more of a soft burgundy with a little bit of brown in there. But you can see that it has a little bit of that dusty appearance. It's not quite a mauve. We don't have enough purple in there for that. But yeah, it's more of like a deeper rosy mauve kind of shade. And those are the 3 eyeliners. And now for the cream product, let me just show you the packaging. These are the highlighters. You can see this is actually domed in here. So we've got cork there. This is like tin. And then we have this frosted glass jar here. And this is the shade Pearl. And I really like this. It's not greasy at all. It's very thin and lightweight, and you just get a little bit of kind of like that white iridescence, and it's very subtle. So this is actually something really nice to mix with cream blushes or just to put on as is. And I like how it doesn't feel sticky or heavy or greasy. My hair doesn't stick to it. And then this one here is Champagne, and you can see that this is going to be a warmer hue. And this is really going to be more of a soft gold. So overall, I have to say I'm really loving the products that they sent me. Thank you so much to Flufedo and Albedo for sending these over. I think their company has a great message, and you know, everything is very high quality. My favorites here for the eyeshadows would still be, well, you know, I really like all 3 of them. I've been wearing them a lot. But the Cool Bronze and the Rosy Quartz are probably my #1. Lavender highlighter and the Pearl Glow highlight, or I'm sorry, lavender eyeliner and Pearl Glow highlighter. So yeah, Thank you so much for sending those to me, and I'm really liking them. Definitely check them out. I think they are a really great brand. Moving on, let's take a look at the Gucci Illuminator. So I did not use this much product, just so you know, it doesn't come like all the way up to the top. But this is the Gucci Illuminator. It's a liquid product. It looks very dark in here, but it's actually a very, very sheer product. So I'm going to put this on my other hand. And let's just take a look at this. Well, let's get more product in there. It looked like the product was in the tube, but I guess it wasn't. Okay, so I would definitely recommend putting this on either a palette or your hand or something before using this. And this is a product, so it's very thin when you actually shear it out, and look how sheer that actually gets. So you're not going to get kind of this deep shade, even if you keep kind of building this up, it's never going to be super deep. This is definitely a product that you could use under foundation for a little bit of a glowy base. You could use this on top of foundation. I think this looks really nice if you kind of buff this into your skin on the cheeks and then add a little cream blush or mix them together. But you can see you're actually getting a little bit more of a warm champagne kind of glow with this. But even for light skin, it's totally going to work, yet it doesn't have that white base that can be problematic for deeper skin tones either. So I think it's actually just a really nice kind of sheer glow product. Let's take a look at the demo here. And if you were to build this product up, you can get a little bit more of that golden bronze kind of hue. So if you keep layering it, you will get a little bit of that color. Now this pipette style packaging I think is a nice idea, but you have to kind of get to the bottom to see how well that will actually help to get everything out from the very bottom. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if I'll ever hit bottom, to be honest. But we have 12 milliliters of product here. There is a 1-year shelf life on this, and it's made in Italy. And you can see it gives you just kind of this soft golden illuminating appearance to it. It can be very subtle. You can layer this to get a little bit more blingy, but you're never going to get that like glittery look. It's really more of a almost a shimmery metallic, but not, it's more subtle than a traditional metallic. So I think it's actually very pretty, and this can be a very useful product if you are looking for like a glowy bronzer. Mix this in with a cream bronzer or a liquid bronzer. You can mix this in with blushes and so forth. And I think it's just a great way to kind of mix in with other products to give a slightly different look versus what you already have without having to necessarily buy separate items to get, you know, like you don't need to buy a shimmery blush. You can mix a little this in and so forth. So as a straight up highlighter, I think it's a nice subtle highlighter and I like it for that, but don't expect to get a blingy highlighter appearance from this. So I don't have any liquid highlighters or bronzers that would be similar. But the closest thing I want to compare this to are the Rodial liquid blush drops. This one's in Sunset Kiss, which is the warmer shade here. And we have this similar pipette style packaging. Let's put this on this side. This is a slightly thicker product. It blends out very nicely, but you can see this is going to be significantly more pigmented, and it definitely has a stronger metallic vibe. So just something to note there, just a little comparison. And moving on to our last item of the day, we have the new Givenchy shades. So these are the Rose Perfecto lip balms. I love these. These are a great tinted lip balm. They have a little bit of a plumping effect. Let's take a look at these lip swatches here. They introduced 3 new shades for the summer, and I believe these are sticking around. So I don't believe that they are limited edition, but if I find out otherwise, I will definitely let you know. These are made in France. We have 2.8 grams of product, and they have a little bit of mint in there, so you can feel a little bit of that tingly sensation when you put it on, but this is not one of those overpowering mint products that you notice right away. So just something you know, I find it to be a comfortable, hydrating lip balm. It's creamy on the lips, and yeah, I really like it. So I'm wearing shade 111 in today's video here, and I've been wearing these a lot, actually. I just had to scavenge all of my pockets and purses to find the other shade because I've been carrying them. I have had them all over the place because I've been carrying them around with me, which is why I kind of forgot to put these in a video after I did the initial short on these. So let's go ahead and take a look at arm swatches. All right, so let's start off with the new shades here. We have 111. You can see this is kind of your gorgeous soft cocoa shade here. This is, again, what's on my lips right now, and I just think it's a great go-to kind of shade. So let's go ahead, we'll put a swatch of that here, and let's build that up a little bit so you can see what that looks like. And I love just kind of that soft sheen that you get from these. And I just think they're a really great lip balm. They do have fragrance, so just something to know. All Givenchy lip products have fragrance. All right, this one here is shade 301. And yeah, this is a great warmer tone shade. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 302. This is a great warmer tone shade. And I've been enjoying this one as well. This one I've been using a lot. You can see it's kind of your soft orange with a little terracotta in there. So really pretty. And the third shade here, this is 501. So this is our deepest of the three. Again, I think this is gorgeous. This will probably be like a regular lip balm for me during the fall. It has a little bit of red and some brown in there. I just think it's a gorgeous shade. This also gives you a really nice soft red look right now as well. So I think it's a great shade. So I want to take a look at the other Givenchy lip balms that I have. So this one was a limited edition. This was 525. And you can see, I mean, look how pretty this is. This one's definitely going to have more pink. Let's go ahead and put this, we're going to put this one right here, just vertically. And you can see that that's going to be cooler and more pink than any of these three. This one here is 110. So this is going to be pretty close to 111, but you can see here that it's actually slightly warmer. They're very similar colors, but 102, the new one, I'm sorry, 111, the new one, is actually a cooler tone brown, whereas 110 is going to be a bit warmer. So these don't all have a match, so we're going to put these down here. This is 303, which is just a really nice kind of bright pinky pop for the summer. I like to think of it kind of as a neon flamingo pink. And then we have 315, which is a beautiful berry shade here. And look at that. You've got a bit more of a purple hue there. And then I also have 333, which is a soft red. So let's put that one a little bit closer to 501. You can see 501 is definitely going to have more brown in there. I just wanted to compare a couple of the Jones Road lip tints. This is one of the new shades, Rose Mocha Shimmer. And I wanted to put this one kind of right here so you can kind of see how that compares. You can see it's going to be cooler. It's actually cooler even than the 111 up here at the top as well, a little bit deeper. And this is Cocoa Rose. Let's see how Cocoa Rose. Yeah, that's going to be much deeper and cooler as well. Overall, my opinions on all of these products today have been favorable. The Sisley Blur Expert, I'm really glad that they made a shade 0. I think this is a great product to put underneath foundation, base products, or even just on bare skin, you know, but again, less is more. And then the bronzer or the blonzer from Guerlain, I am really happy that the peach and the pink are not an overspray and that they seem to be going all the way through the product. I think it gives you a really nice look. This is definitely a product that I will be using as a blush for the summer. And yeah, I just think it's a great peachy shade. Moving on to the Chanel nail polishes, I think the reformulation was good. I think it was actually a good reformulation. I like the wider brush. I'm getting more longevity with the wear with these. So overall, I think it's nice. I do think the formula is slightly thicker than I would prefer, but we'll see how that goes over time. And, you know, I can always thin it out if I really wanted to. So overall, though, I think it's a great formula. I'm happy with this one, and I'm really enjoying this new lavender shade here. I think that, you know, I like having the blue base lavender, and that was missing from their collection before. The Gucci Illuminator, I think, is a great sheer product to mix with things. I probably won't use it straight up as a highlighter too often, but I can definitely see mixing this with some cream and liquid blushes, particularly during the summer, or even mixing a little bit in with the foundation to get kind of that dewy, glowy look. And I think it's a great product for that type of purpose. But if you're looking for something straight up as a highlighter, it's not really a highlighter. Again, it is called an illuminator. And I think the intention is sort of to mix it with other products. Flavedo and Albedo, thank you again for sending me these items. I love the eyeshadows. The velvet eyeshadows, I think, are just really, really special. This lavender eye pencil, I love using that as a lip pencil. I hope it's lip safe. I'll have to check that out, but I think it's really great. So overall, definitely some solid products from them. You know, I would definitely say that the velvet eyeshadow, though, is the standout from what I've tried from them. And then in addition, the Givenchy lip balms. I mean, you can't go wrong. I love the Givenchy lip balms. I'm very happy they added the new shades. You know, I think I'll be wearing all three of these, but the 111 is going to be one of my staples that I keep in my purse. So it's definitely going to be something that I am using on a regular basis. So I hope this was helpful, and I'd love to know if you've tried any of these products, what your thoughts are, and definitely please share it down below in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful day.